Welcome to Fan for Racing Radio. I'm Fan for Racing Sharon, and joining me is Jay Hughesman is back. So welcome
Happy to
back.
be back. Yeah, happy to be back. Get to talk some racing again. I know I missed all of the Mexico City. I
Yes.
listened to it on the radio and throughout the week. Sounded real positive. I know for Hot Topics, we'll have a couple of things to talk about with that. But overall, racing was good, and it sounded like there's a lot of interest in going back. So
Yes, I believe there is. But for now, we are going to do our Pocono review for the NASCAR Xfinity series. Jay, I know you listened to it. What were your overall thoughts after listening to this race?
Well, for one, and you've heard me say this, I try not to let others get in my head, but Dale Jr. being a crew chief, you almost
Oh,
kind
that
of
was cool.
expected it. No, it was a great race. It did happen to work out for Dale Jr. and Connor Zelich, but from what I listening on Sirius XM, they do a great job of covering it. It was an excellent race all the way around. You didn't know. I thought a couple of the rookies, Carson Kvapil, Christian Eckes, Connor Zelich being a rookie, but has already won, I guess. So not to discount him as a rookie, but man, I thought we were going to have a surprise winner. And yeah, it played out and worked in Zilich's favor along with Dale Jr. So good to see. I mean, I think it's great for the sport when you see something like that as well.
I do too. And I thought it was really good to see Dale Jr. Not only be on top of the pit box, but his buddy and former crew chief, Steve Letarte, was up there to help advise him as well. And then also getting down into the pits with the pit crew. I thought that was really great to see because as a team owner, how many team owners have you seen do anything even close to that? It's just so cool that he has a better appreciation for what those guys do.
And that's what I think the biggest thing that I take away from it is, yeah, it's Dale Jr. and we know who he is and everything, but to me, it really did show that he is all in on this team. I know they talked about it of trying to downplay it of Dale probably didn't make a whole lot of decisions because again, even with the crew chief suspended, and we've talked about this, they're in a war room. Like you said, he had a bunch of people advising him or there with him. I know they talked about Steve Letarte being around. I didn't know if he actually did come up and on the pit box or was in the area, but so yeah, that he was going to be all right. As it turns out, he was real all right and get to go to victory lane. But like you said, being involved hands on. I mean, clearly
Yeah.
hands on.
Yes, a very good day. And Connor Zelich won the Xfinity Series race at Pocono with Dale Jr. serving as his crew chief. In a day of varying strategies and dramatic restarts, and among the front runners, Junior Motorsports rookie Connor Zelich prevailed in a late race sprint to the checkered flag in Saturday's Xfinity Series race at Pocono. It was the first oval win, which made it pretty emotional for Connor Zelich. He said he'd had that one on his bucket list for a while. He made a pass for the lead with 4 laps remaining in the number 88 and won the race at Pocono as he got his very first victory on an oval. Jesse Love, his best friend and fellow competitor, came in second, scoring his first top 5 finish since Talladega. Then it was another rookie, Christian Eckes, bettered his best career finish from last week with a third place effort at Pocono. Chase Elliott led a race high 38 laps and then rebounded for a 4th place finish after a late mishap with the number 7 of Justin Allgaier on the restart. Then Ryan Sieg rounded out the top 5. Then Carson Kvapil, Sam Mayer, Sammy Smith, Taylor Gray, and Allgaier completed the top 10. Brandon Jones won the opening stage, his first stage victory since 2022. Zelich did win stage 2 and earned 6 playoff points throughout the race. There were 10 lead changes among 7 drivers, 10 cautions for 41 yellow flag laps, and the average speed of the race was 103.722 miles per hour. Now, the fastest lap award, it was the number 17 And in the 17 was Chase Elliott on lap 77 at 54.741 miles per hour. The margin of victory was 0.437 thousandths of a second, Jay. So your thoughts here about the top 10 drivers?
Well, you start at the top with the winner, and as you mentioned, oval track win. I think as a rookie, again, we saw him get a victory already, but really establish himself as a possible championship contender. You're going to be going up against some veterans here in the Xfinity Series with Austin Hill, Justin Allgaier. So that at least adds to that intrigue of looking down the road. When you look at this race in itself, I see that Connor led 3 times for 34 laps. So again, he was a contender. I won't say Chase Elliott had the dominant car, but I think throughout the day he had the strongest car. And you mentioned it, and I couldn't remember what happened there at the end. But yeah, mixing it up with Justin Allgaier getting the worst of it, sliding all the way back to 10th. I think that Chase Elliott had slid back to 6th or 7th, was able to work his way back to 4th. So you see that, and to be able to get by it, a little bit of luck. I think Jesse Love was another one there at the end, probably, as they say, taking his hat to victory lane, thought he might have it, but Connor Zilich able to hold him off. And then, like I said, Christian Eckes as a rookie and has had a rough season, up and down a little bit better than William Sawalich, who ended up, I think, 21st. He was another one I thought was going to get one of those good days. That team, as you mentioned, back-to-back good finishes, kind of seeing where we think they should be on a weekly basis. So I like to see that. And then 5th, Ryan Sieg. I mean, what a phenomenal year. Very securely in points. I don't know if I like to use the word securely, but in a good position in points. However, we know that, and when we look at that, we'll talk about how that can change week to week. Then you got Carson Cavapo, Sam Mayer, Sammy Smith, Taylor Gray, Justin Allgaier. I'll say, normal contenders. Missing a couple there, if you will. Sheldon Creed, I know, had some issues. Taylor Gray is another one. I mean, and I don't know if he led any laps. He did not. Okay. I know he was up there and contending, and they were talking about him being the one to maybe steal it, if you will. Again, they felt if Chase Elliott didn't win, somebody was stealing it because he had a very strong car, and we know he's good at Pocono. He's a Cup champion. So
I think there was a stat he had only top 5 finishes in several different series that he raced at Pocono, all top 5s.
Right, and he was the odds-on favorite going into the weekend, through the weekend, coming out of the weekend. Even after not winning, I think he was still the favorite to win the race. Very strong, and he displayed that. So, and there too, that's just kind of the luck Chase Elliott has seemed to had of just being consistent and something closing the door when it comes to trying knocking on it for victory. But there were a couple the heartbreak stories, but again, Ryan Sieg, I've just been so impressed with that team, and we'll talk more a little bit when we get to the points, because it shuffled it up some, and I think it makes it a little more interesting again, though.
Well, I love that there are 4 of the 7 rookies in that top 10. So we said it was going to happen. The second half of the season, we'd see some of these rookies kind of do a lot better than they did during the first half. And that certainly is the case for Christian Eckes. For the drivers that didn't have such a good day, there's only a few. So Justin Bonsignor, early in the race, lap 7, had an engine failure, which was really unfortunate. I think a lot of people always look forward to him being in the race to see what he can do. We know how good he is at Pocono in the modifieds. On lap 69, it was a suspension issue that took Chris Wright out of the race, and an accident for Sheldon Creed. I know Taz had high hopes for Sheldon Creed in this race. So when that accident happened, those hopes kind of vanished in thin air, not just for Sheldon Creed, but for Taz's prediction as well. So everybody else finished the race. There were 32 cars that finished all 100 laps. And so from 33 to 35, that's 3 cars, all finished a lap or more down. So,
and that's when you look at that of Dawson Cram, Carson Ware were 1 lap down. Austin Hill 4 laps down, and even Sheldon Creed there with his was a little bit earlier of 12 laps down. I mean, that's 36 of the 38 starters there. I
Yes.
know Pocono isn't known, and I will go through, and as we go through the rest of the list here of a couple of teams that really did overcome, even Daniel Dye, who ended up 31st, a rookie, had issues all throughout the race, able to stay out there on the lead lap. I think he was second to last car in the lead lap, came away with 31st. Nick Sanchez, another rookie, ended up back in the 28th place. Another one possibly could have come away with the win. But overall, Harrison Burton, that team, they changed an engine. As they were getting ready to push out and start the race and had it go, they used strategy to flip the stage. Again, we're in position. And then at the end, kind of got shuffled back again and ended up with a 14th place finish. But let me tell you, that was a day for them, and they stayed in it. So I was really happy to see that from that team. Got to give them a big thumbs up on their effort.
Absolutely. I was kind of surprised that Austin Hill didn't have a better race. He ended up with that 35th place finish. I wasn't expecting that for Austin Hill. We usually see much better situations for him. But, it's a tricky triangle. Sometimes for some drivers, it can be trickier than for others.
And even though he was having a good day, it was not a top 5, top 10 where you really felt like you had a winning car. So, and I'm trying to remember, there was 1 or 2 of them I know that when things happened, they were in the back of the field where these things have more of a tendency to happen. So, whatever little thing puts you in position to be back there, unfortunately, that can create the possibility of more things happening. And I think if I recall correctly, that's what happened with Austin Hill.
Yeah, and Dean Thompson, another one of the rookies. We mentioned William Sawalich in 21st. Dean Thompson actually had a 17th place finish. So the other 4 were all up there in the top 10, which I thought was outstanding. You want to cover the points report, or is there anything more you wanted to say here?
One last one to give a shout out. 12th place finish was Jeremy Clements. And I know at one point he was battling with Chase Elliott and Justin Allgaier. That was while they were trying to recover and get their spots back. But Jeremy Clements, again, not in the way, obviously was not as fast, but held his own at least for a few laps, which is kind of what prevented Chase Elliott maybe from getting even a little bit closer and having a shot. But a strong run with a 12th place finish.
Yes, indeed.
Now, when we look at the points, this one is still a Justin Allgaier show, if you will, as far as points. 82 points up over Austin Hill. Both of them have 3 wins and 21 playoff points. I'll get down to Connor Zilic in a minute. But Sam Mayer, no victories yet, 1 stage win, so he has 1 playoff points. And then Jesse Love with 1 win and 1 stage, 6 playoff points. Connor Zilic now with another win and another stage brings his total to 13 playoff points. That's still 8 behind your top 2. He's 3rd best as far as that. So got to keep an eye on that when they do this reseeding. Carson Cavapel, 6, Brandon Jones, Jeb Burton, Sheldon Creed. And then we got to look at the cut line. Ryan Sieg in 10th, Sammy Smith 11th, and Taylor Gray 12th. And I don't think we have anybody in the Xfinity Series. Nope, Eric Almirola don't count. So Taylor Gray, as a rookie, is the cut line now at 411. Harrison Burton is at 400. Straight up points-wise, I think the only other one that could still battle in for points, if nobody below the cut line picks up a victory, because Nick Sanchez is now 385. That is 26 points. It's not totally out to lunch, but it's going to be tough, I think, with these remaining races. But
I think Nick Sanchez is going to be on a mission to win.
and that's exactly it. And he could be the one to mess the rest of that up by getting that win. Taylor Gray, right there on the line, could shift that line as well because that would lock him in.
Yep.
Above him, Sammy Smith is at 415. So that's 4 points up, but he is locked in. So you have to go up to Ryan Sieg at 418. And this is where I said it's not very secure. He's 10th. It is 18 points over Harrison Burton. Head-to-head, that one might be a doable transition, but Sieg has had such a strong year, and Harrison Burton as well. The problem comes in if we get another win from somebody below the cut line, they're all going to be out looking in.
Yes, exactly right.
But all the way up. Let's see, half a race. I was trying to look up where even because Brandon Jones has a win. Jeb Burton is in 8th at 424. That's half a race, if you will, 24 points, roughly 30 points for half a race, if you will. Sheldon Creed's in there. He's got to stop having those rough, bad days. He needs. I know he don't want to hear it, but he needs to go back to finishing second.
Well,
I mean,
you look, and this is why, because you look between 9th and 12th, there's 9 points between 9th and 12th place.
Exactly.
So that's very tight when you can, a whole race could ruin somebody in that case.
And the problem there too, like I said, there's a couple of them there that have the one victory, Sammy Smith as well as Brandon Jones. Even if they drop down, you can't knock them out. So that just increases the point.
So yeah, Sammy Smith in that 9th through 12th place is secure. He's the only one that's really secure there, though, I'd say.
Yeah, most definitely. Brandon Jones again is 7th, but has that victory. So is Jeb Burton, like I said, 424 down to Harrison Burton in the one position out is only 24 points. You mentioned it. That's 6 drivers battling for those spots, 2 of which are pretty much locked down because of the victories. And that's why these wins are so important. It may not be the playoff points or the seeding yet. You can't worry about that yet. It is, so you aren't in this points battle.
Yeah, and I want to look at how many more races are left for the Xfinity series before their playoffs begin, because the playoffs.
About eight. I say that about 9. Okay.
9 races. August 23rd, when they race at Daytona, is the last race of the regular season. So yeah, this is getting to be go time.
Looking up a little bit further, even Carson Kvapil, it's less than a race. Carson Kvapil in 6th place at 442. Go back down to 13th place of Harrison Burton. That is less than one race. But that is one of those where you got to have a great day. They got to have a bad day. Plus, you got to jump over and climb over everybody else in between you. So mathematically,
somebody underneath you doesn't jump over
you. Right, exactly. And whoever's behind you doesn't get the win. So mathematically, it's still possible and interesting. But you're not just straight up making up 42 points in one race. It's mathematically possible. I get that. So we got to look at that. But again, it's not going to happen. And that's not including the drivers in between, or like you said, somebody behind you wins. All that math goes out the window, and you got to start looking at somebody else and calculating.
Yeah. Is it just me, or does it seem like there's more drivers winning from below the cut line this year?
They've been right around. I will say that and we've seen that in the truck series as well. They're in contention, maybe, and taking themselves. Stuart Friesen being one was in on points, then out, and just in that area. Man, that win takes so much pressure off.
Yes, it does. So yeah, getting that win is going to be really important, I think, in all 3 series. You've got how many winners here? 6.
I was going to say, I thought it was about half the field. Yeah, that didn't change because Connor Zilich was a repeat winner. So it's still half of them, 6 out of 12.
8 races and 6 drivers looking for a win, not counting the ones below the cut line that also want to get that win. So I think it's going to be highly competitive in these next 8 races, Jay.
It is. And there again, I mentioned I was just looking at Harrison Burton in 13th. Nick Sanchez, 26 points out. There again, he's got to climb over Harrison Burton, have a great day. Taylor Gray have a bad day, and maybe work his way in, but that means nobody else behind him either. So, like I said, I think teams are starting to look at already with 8, you mentioned 8 races remaining, we really are in a win situation because the point is just a jumble.
A good day these days is a win.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
A win, it's not as good as it could be. So was there anything more you wanted to say before we moved on?
No, it'll be interesting, and I haven't looked at the schedule of what these 8 races are. We said teams going around for the rookies anyway, second time around showing their improvement.
Yeah.
Taylor Gray, we've seen him come close. Nick Sanchez has been close a couple of times. We're starting to see Christian Eckes really hit his stride. And those are three of the rookies in that battle right there at the 12th. So I think it's going to be interesting. I think you better be well up and have a good points gap to be content. Like I mentioned, Ryan Sieg, even Jeb Burton, 424. And Jeb's another one. I remember, what was that, Talladega maybe?
Yes.
Just so dejected because you knew you had the win and it got away from you.
Got away.
How much that means, because he realistically, 24 points is still possible. Again, even a mediocre day and somebody else has a good day, 20 points, that could be made up.
These are do not miss races coming up here in all of the series. So only 4 more races left in the truck series. So we've got that preview done. We've got the Xfinity series done, and coming up, Jay and I are going to be doing the ARCA at Elko race, as well as the NASCAR Cup Series at Pocono. So a lot more to talk about here. Stay tuned for more. 10 o'clock Eastern time, Jay. We're back to Hot Topic Sound Off with our Fan for Racing crew, Chris Crichton and yourself and myself, talking about the hottest topics in NASCAR.
I know it was a long list, so I think we got plenty to talk about.
Yeah, I think there's more than enough there to talk about. And then also later in the week, Jay and I will be back with previews for the upcoming races that are coming up at Lime Rock and also at Atlanta. So we've got two tracks, 4 great races on tap.
Well, I tell you what, the one for Lime Rock, that should be a short preview, because what do we know?
Not a whole
new
lot.
Track, yeah, not a new track. So what do we know?
Thank you for tuning in. Jay and I have a lot of fun doing these, and we hope you enjoy listening and watching as much as we enjoy doing them. So with that, we'll say goodbye for now, and we'll see you in the next video.
All right, talk to you soon.
Take care.